Uh-oh, swimming pools are on sale. These guys were originally $298, dropped down to $148. And then these guys were $348, dropped down to $184. I think I might have to go with the Funsicle. Man, it barely fits. After getting the pool back home in the garage, let's go ahead and take a close look up on what's actually included in this box. Big reason why we picked it was because it did have more accessories added into it. Without further ado, let's go ahead and start ripping into these boxes and see what it all lays out to be. I liked how you didn't have to guess what was inside each box. We took an afternoon and actually laid out this pool pad that we have here. What we did use was a mixture of pea pebbles and landscape fabric. Essentially, the pea pebbles were supposed to help us create a more of a level foundation for the pool to sit on top of. And then our hopes with the landscape fabric is that it would provide just a little bit of a protection layer between the pea pebbles and the liner of the pool. But nonetheless, use what you want. The instructions call for laying it out in the sunlight for at least 2 to 3 hours. So we're going to let our pool just sit here and get hot. We then went to work and started assembling the ladder. Basically, it all snapped together one little piece at a time with these little plastic clips. And it did require, I think, about a 10 millimeter to tighten up just a couple of the bolt heads near the top. Next, we turned our focus towards these T-heads, which the poles would actually snap into. So I went ahead and staged them and got them laid out here on the floor. We then switched over to prepping the vertical poles, and all we had to do was take the little plastic feet and clip them onto the bottom, which they literally just snap on with a little bit of pressure. I did like how they had these individualized manuals for each main component. They even had one for the ladder. So the pool has had time to warm up in the sunlight, so it's time for us to lay out our horizontal poles and get those staged. And the rest was fairly easy. I mean, in terms of setting up the frame, it all snaps together very easy with those little plastic clips. And voila! We got it done. It was pretty self-explanatory, as you guys can see going around the edge here. Each vertical pole had to make it inside that belt loop. And while I was going around the edge of the pool laying out each vertical pole, I had the help of my 6-year-old running around inside the pool, and he was actually helping the liner kind of flatten out and just carefully walking around in his bare feet. Of course, partially having it filled up with water was very helpful as well. And yes, I did get carried away with the square stones, as I had put them around and used them as a foundation pad for each vertical pole. And I did have to watch the edges, as they are pretty sharp, so I wanted to make sure that that liner had a little bit of extra space. I think now would be a good time to go ahead and get that filter pump installed, so let's go ahead and move on to that. And I have to hand it to these guys, this filter pump assembly is an all-in-one unit. It's pretty nifty. So basically all I had to do was just take off the mounting circle and slide it in. Inside there is a little bit of work that you do have to do. This little flap door is separate, so you do have to snip it in place, which it's very simple. And of course, inside you do have this little skim strainer and the filter, which is included. So they do provide one filter in the kit, which was another bonus. And these are pretty small. They're simple to replace. They only run about $8 to $10 on average, so not too worried about that. Just a really cool compact design, so got to give it to them. And they include quite a bit of cable, so you're able to run this cord across the yard to your designated outlet. Let's go ahead and finish up with the hose connection. The pictures make it simple enough, so I don't see how anybody could get misled with these directions. But overall, this was an extremely easy to assemble pool. It just required a little bit of effort and patience. After owning this pool for nearly a year, we have only had one issue with it, and we called Funsicle customer support, and thankfully there was a gentleman that helped us in a matter of minutes, and we were able to get the part swapped out. The maintenance and upkeep is very easy to do. It just requires a little bit of chlorine and a simple chemistry set to test the pH, make sure everything's within the correct ranges. But it's a small body of water at the end of the day, very easy to keep up with, and thankfully I don't have any large trees over it, so I don't have to watch it too closely. But nonetheless, I appreciate you guys watching. Hopefully this video helped y'all in one way or another. We'll see you on the next one.